presents the 2022 Student Association Executive Debate with Chilekasi Adele and Moriah Humiston. CitrusTV News, your campus news leader.
You've got it in your ear or something? So. Now. Are we good? Okay. Good evening, everyone. Before we begin, we would like to acknowledge with respect the Onondaga Nation, firekeepers of the Haudenosaunee, the indigenous peoples on whose ancestral lands Syracuse University now stands. Welcome, everyone, to the executive debate for the 66th session of the Student Association at Syracuse and the State University of New York College of Environmental Science and Forestry, in partnership with CitrusTV. My name is Richard Kaufman IV, Chair of the Student Association Board of Elections. Thank you for joining us tonight to hear directly from candidates about their visions for an unsurpassed student experience. The Student Association represents more than 16,000 undergraduate students across 13 schools, each of whom has unique experiences and concerns. Tonight offers us the opportunity to judge who will best represent us in the upcoming session. I would like to thank Elections Vice Chair Otto Sutton and Commissioner Taylor Stover, as well as Student Activities Associate Director Tim Johnson and Senior Director Michael Dignan, as well as the staff of the NVRC and members of CitrusTV for all their time and effort that they've put into making this event a success. Please note that in the event of emergency, exits can be found on the side and in the back. Now, I'd like to introduce our timekeeper, William Trelaw, Speaker of the Student Association Assembly, and our moderators, Chilekasi Adele and Moriah Humiston. Moriah is a senior at CitrusTV News. She is a broadcast and digital journalism major from Rome, New York. Chilekasi Adele is a sophomore at CitrusTV News. He is a broadcast and digital journalism major from Eldon, Pennsylvania. Thank you.
Richard, thank you. Welcome everyone to the 2022 Student Association Executive Debate. Transparency, food reform, and mental health are just three topics of concern students have across the university. Good evening, I'm Moriah Humiston.
And I'm Chilekasi Adele. We're joined tonight by one candidate for Student Association Comptroller and three pairs of candidates for President and Executive Vice President.
To begin, let's welcome our candidate for SA Comptroller, Ms. Nia Jones. Nia is a junior sports management major from Chicago, Illinois. Tonight, Nia will have 2 minutes for an opening statement and closing statement and 8 minutes to answer questions.
Nia, take it away.
Good evening, Orange family. I want to thank you all for coming out here tonight, and those of us who are joining virtually or tuning in, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to be with us tonight. So like they said, my name is Nia Jones, and I am currently blessed to be a junior here at Syracuse University. I am also your current SA Comptroller, and that's why I'm so excited to join you back on the stage tonight. Last year, I ran with the initiatives of being transparent, being accessible, and being open to change. Not only have I met all three of my initiatives, I am back with more. This year I was able to be transparent by providing more information at Student Association meetings, which are open to the public 7:30 on Monday. Being accessible, there are a requirement for 4 fiscal agent training sessions. I held 12, with 2 makeup sessions as well. And as far as being open to change, this is the first year of many the Student Association allowed for a deadline extension for semester allocations. I wanted to make sure all students not only had ample time, but also access to me. With this next upcoming year, I want to continue to make the changes to the fiscal codes, continue to make sure that SA is in good and caring hands, and do the hard work. Thank you.
And now, Nia, we're going to begin our question and answer period. The first question to you tonight, how have you tried to increase transparency between the Student Association and registered student organizations?
Absolutely. So if any of you guys watching tonight are registered student organizations, you know anytime a budget gets approved or denied, not only do you know why, I also include my personal phone number and email address to make myself accessible so you can ask me questions. I've held office hours via Zoom and in person because I know this kind of the concerns around COVID are still very much there and want to be open around schedules. I've held office hours at 3 a.m., 10 p.m. I'm really a 24-hour comptroller, to be quite honest. I've also sat on finance board for years. And just because things are always done the same way doesn't mean that things can't get better. So as many of you might already know, every single Monday during student association meetings, we have to present our budgets. Usually it's just comptroller reading the list of how much orgs applied for and if they were approved or not. I didn't really like that. So this year I decided not only do I read how much they were approved for, I tell what the event is and if they were denied, why. So, did that answer your question?
Naya, you mentioned earlier that during your time as comptroller, you have changed some of the fiscal codes. What fiscal codes do you believe block RSO access?
Absolutely. So the fiscal codes currently are still the same. It's a really long process in changing them. As far as blocking access, do I personally believe they block access? No. But do I think there could be things to make it more accessible? Yes. One of those things is the tier system. The tier system has not been updated in many, many years, and that's something that I've worked hard with not only members of SA, I've asked orgs what they think need to be done, and I've also worked with the finance board as we work with those extensively.
Now, something you mentioned in your letter of intent to run for comptroller is something about fiscal training workshops. What would these fiscal training workshops for registered student organizations entail?
So the mandatory ones basically just entail everything you need to apply for your budgets. So that includes when deadlines are, what you need to know as far as what does get approved, what doesn't get approved, and what extensive measures need to be taken for something like semester allocations versus special programming. I'm actually in the works of planning an event next week. It's called the Fiscal Code Study Session. So fiscal agent training is something that's mandatory. This is something that's completely optional and will give RSOs, their coaches, their leaders, and other staff the opportunity to come. It'll also be open to the entire student body. So this is something that disheartens me to know that co-curricular is something that any student, whether they're registered to an organization or not, can apply for, but many students don't even know that.
Thank you, Naya. Coming up, we continue questions with our comptroller candidate and our other candidates give their opening statements. Stay with us.
They call me Maxie, but I prefer tripod. I was your above-average four-legged homie, and then wham, bam, minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five.
CitrusTV presents the 2022 Student Association Executive Debate.
Welcome back to our discussion with comptroller candidate Naya Jones. Naya, let's talk about funding from SA.
So, Naya, do you believe that organization funding from the Student Association hasn't been distributed equally previously?
Wow, that's a very good question. Do I think it's been distributed equally? I think when it comes to funding, there's a perception that things change throughout the years. I know I fielded a lot of questions from organizations when they ask, it seems like every year the finance board makes different decisions based on who's on it. But the reality of the situation is it's based on the fiscal codes and how that's distributed. So if the fiscal codes change, we do have to move accordingly. Do I think it's been equally and evenly distributed? Honestly, yes. As this year, this is my third year on the finance board. It's my first year I don't vote. This is actually one of the very first years I've seen a lot of minority organizations be funded a lot more.
Naya, you started the night talking about the 3 initiatives that you've met during the past year of being the comptroller. How have you rectified any concerns about financial equity?
Absolutely. So that's actually a very good question and one I'm very excited to answer. So as we know, Syracuse University is a predominantly white institution, and there are a lot of not just racial and ethnic minorities represented at the school as well. So we all know rollover is a fund that president, vice president, and comptroller have access to and that we can disperse how we see fit. One of my initiatives for rollover is a minority organization fund. This will be released throughout this semester, but the way I see it kind of working is for minority organizations like the LGBTQ+ IA community, Black organizations or other organizations of color, or just any minority group who is at the tier 1 level will have access to funding for things like food and things that aren't normally distributed through SA that can really help booster their events, and help them move from tier 1 to tier 2.
So Naya, that brings us to the end of our questioning for your segment. Now you will have 2 minutes for a closing statement.
Thank you. So tonight, I hope I answered your questions very well. If I didn't, please feel free to email me at njones16@syr.edu. This is where I host office hours and many other things. I want to be as accessible to the student body as absolutely possible. And that's something I will continue as comptroller. I know I just name dropped my email there, but that's because, well, that's what I like to do. We wouldn't be us without you. We're the Student Association, and we're here to make your dreams come true. If that means helping you guys put on events, that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to help you answer your questions. As Finance Board, we're not here to tell you no. We're here to help you get to that yes. And that's what I will continue to do as comptroller next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Naya. Coming up, we hear the opening statements from our presidential and executive vice presidential candidates. Stay with us.
What are you, superheroes?
Just 4 brothers who hate bullies and love this city. Gear up, guys.
Did you hear about the pony with a sore throat? He was a little horse. Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding. Why couldn't the Why was the basketball court all wet? Why? Because the players kept dribbling all over it. Where the cats go on vacation? New York.
Jason, let's go see your room.
What do you think? We kept it a little spare, so you can decorate it how you like.
Dinner!
Go. Excellent. Soccer is fun. Yeah, I saw you guys out there. We're the family. Come on. Yeah! Oh, I thought you were on my team.
Welcome to my house. Lately, not my happy place. Everybody's pretty tired of each other. The parents were not themselves. My little brothers were morphing into small creatures. The walls were closing in. Clearly, a case of too much family, too close, 24/7. and there's a lot of that going around right now. If this sounds like your house, try going someplace new. YourLifeYourVoice.org. You'll find lots of ideas to help you handle the family stresses of being confined to close quarters. YourLifeYourVoice.org. It might not get you out of the house, but it could help you find a little more breathing room.
Here's to the straggly ones, the lopsided ones, the first ones, the I miss my beard ones. But hey, I look good with this ones. But no way he's grown that in a week ones. The black, brown, red, and gray ones. That one. The itchy ones. The never forgotten ones. The ones grown by Dad. The ones grown for Dad. The started late ones. The absolutely filthy ones. The drawn on ones. The finger ones. The pin ones. The I nearly didn't do it this year ones. And the yeah, why not ones. They all raise awareness, raise funds, start conversations, and save lives. Because whatever you grow will save a bro. Learn more at Movember.com.
CitrusTV presents the 2022 Student Association Executive Debate.
Welcome back to the Student Association Executive Debate on CitrusTV. We are now going to begin our debate with our candidates for President and Executive Vice President. Now, let's introduce our candidates. Our first candidate for president is Jordan Pierre. Jordan is a junior majoring in public communications at Newhouse from Brooklyn, New York. He is running with Lauren Gloster. Lauren is a sophomore majoring in public health from New York City.
Next up is incumbent President David Bruin. David is a junior majoring in political science and policy studies. He is from West Nyack, New York. His running mate is Adia Santos. Adia is a junior majoring in political science. She is from the Bronx.
And our final candidate for president is Breton McNeil. Breton is a junior majoring in broadcast and digital journalism. He is from Hampton, New Jersey, and his running mate is Sky Gorzinski. Sky is a freshman physics and pre-law major from Sutton, Massachusetts. The presidential and executive vice presidential candidates will each have 2 minutes for an opening statement, followed by 3 rounds of debate questions.
Candidates have 90 seconds to respond to the question for each campaign and 30 seconds for a response if mentioned or at the moderator's discretion.
So we're going to start with our opening statements tonight. First up is Jordan Pierre. Jordan, you have 2 minutes.
How you doing? I first just want to start by saying good evening to our esteemed candidates, Student Association representatives, and those in attendance tonight. My name is Jordan Pierre, and I'm currently a junior within this institution. I major in broadcast and digital journalism with a minor in entrepreneurship and emerging enterprise. I'm a part of various organizations on campus, all in which I navigate with the intent of building genuine relationships with students. I am an orientation leader. I'm a part of the Young Men of Color Initiative. I'm an Our Time Has Come scholar, as well as an assembly representative within Student Association. I'm the vice president of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, Delta Zeta chapter here on Syracuse campus, and many other organizations we could keep going. But yeah, I just want to first start by greeting everyone, and I thank you all for being in attendance tonight.
Hi everyone, my name is Lauren Gloster. I'm a sophomore studying public health on the pre-med track. I serve the Syracuse community as a part of the Syracuse University Ambulance, where I serve as an EMT. I'm also part of Women of Color in STEM, the Rebecca Pre-Health Society, the American Chemical Society, and serve as the vice president of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Thank you all for coming this evening.
The name of our ticket, for those who may not know, is Ubuntu, meaning we are because you are. We are dedicated as candidates of being a reflection of the students when having a seat at the table with administrators.
Our goal, if granted the opportunity to serve as representatives of the student body, is to reshape the Orange experience and to revitalize Orange culture to one that is inclusive of all the students that coexist within this institution. Our 5 initiatives are to construct an Orange experience that is inclusive of all students, to address food insecurity, to recognize historically marginalized students, advocate for the restructuring of the financial tier system, and to establish long-term relationships with Syracuse residents.
We represent and have established relationships with a large demographic of underrepresented students among Syracuse and ESF campus. We have designed every aspect of our initiatives and campaign with the student body in mind, ensuring that the voice and presence of all students are shown through our initiatives.
Hello, everyone. We'd just like to first thank the Board of Elections and CitrusTV for hosting this debate. Throughout this campaign so far, the question I keep getting asked, and I'm sure I'll have to answer tonight, is why am I running for a second term? The answer is simple. I stepped up last year when no one else would. I've worked with my Vice President, Darnell, and our team to create our grocery store trolley program. We've invested over $100,000 in our menstrual product initiative, extended the test optional policy with the university, and so much more. Yet, there is still so much more systemic change that we must continue to fight for with the Student Association and the university overall. My commitment to serving all of the student body has given me the experience and the approach to see real progress, substantive change, beyond just vague talking points. The Student Association does have some work to do in promoting our work to students. However, the unseen success of this past year has been behind the scenes to make SA more accessible, effective, and known by the student body. Adele and I offer something no one else can: excellent experience, advocacy, passion, and commitment. No one would better make a vice president than Adele, and let's face it, there's no one better suited to serve the student body than someone who's already done the job as president. Tonight, I'm sure Adele and I will show why we stand out among the candidates, but above all, we hope to earn your support.
Hi, everyone. So, from the very first day I came to SU, it was very apparent that there was a lack of commitment to students of color, primarily black students. Since that day, it has been my personal mission to ensure the success and safety of those students and to create open lines of communication between students and administration. Throughout my life, I have been recognized as a powerful advocate for others with a City Council citation for outstanding service and a certificate of special congressional recognition for my activism and leadership. These aren't the only experiences that define who I am, and there's so much more that I've learned from being an assembly member in the Student Association. It's allowed me to become more understanding and skilled in the give and take that student leadership truly is. In learning about this mutual exchange while representing Nottingham SU and as an assembly member, it has become my top priority to engage with a diverse array of students so that my perspective isn't the only one being counted for. In pursuing legacy, we recognize that student leaders who came before us have made great progress. But we now have the responsibility to ensure a better future for all the students who come after us.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Bretton McNeil, and I am currently running for President of Student Association. I would like to thank CitrusTV, the Board of Elections, as well as the audience for coming out tonight. I know going to an essay debate is not #1 on everybody's list of things to do tonight, especially on a Thursday, so thank you guys, really appreciate it. I'm running for essay president because I have a very good feel of the pulse here of the students of Syracuse University. I live with the programs that get pushed through, and I'm thinking that I have a pretty good set of ideas that could really change student life here and make it a better place. Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Sky Gorzinski. As many of you know, I am a freshman, and I wanted to run for SA because in my first year here at Syracuse, I had not heard of SA until I had met Bretton. And I think it's really important that when there's a position for students to run the school, I think it should really be well known, because I know a lot of my fellow freshmen did not hear about it until I had mentioned it to them. So I think one of our biggest goals is to make Student Association more accessible to everyone, more well known, open for people to get involved everywhere. And I think Student Association can be really powerful. They have accomplished great things in the past years, and I just want to make sure that we can increase voting numbers, increase involvement, everything like that. Thank you.
Our slogan is, if you want the real deal, vote McNeil, and I promise I am the real deal. If I will be a president that fights for you, and that ensures that you guys are having the best experience you could have here on this campus. Thank you again.
All right, thank you all. Let's take a brief break, and when we return, we'll continue to hear from our presidential and vice presidential candidates. Stay with us.
Look at you. You're at the top of your game. You're unstoppable. Nothing can throw you off track. Wait, is that your car? Uh-oh. Yeah, I saw that coming. That will throw you off track. You're looking at around 10 grand in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Let's try this again. Smart move. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Baby, you see, you're so right for me, and I'm right for you. I love the things you do, like sweet tasting wine. Your lips are so divine. Your loving turns me on. My lonely days are gone. That's why I'm never gonna let you go. Never gonna let you go. Babe, I'm never gonna let you go. No, no, never gonna let you go. Baby, never gonna let you go. Never gonna let you go.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
OTN is on all your favorite apps: Apple TV, Fire TV, and Roku. Search Orange Television Network or OTN. OTN has its best shows, short films, and Citrus TV on demand. Family and friends can watch OTN too. Watch the live stream of OTN to catch live Citrus TV news, live from Studio B, and Mornings on the Hill. On or off campus, watch OTN anywhere.
Citrus TV presents the 2022 Student Association Executive Debate.
Welcome back to the Essay Executive Debate on Citrus TV. In this section, we're going to discuss the current administration, Greek life on campus, and transparency. You've all mentioned in your opening statements tonight, and the overall purpose for debating tonight is your desire to be a voice for the student body. Our first question is the current administration not working for students? Jordan and Lauren, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so could everyone hear us? All right, just if we ever speak and you cannot hear, just make sure to let us know. So when it comes to transparency in regards to administration, that is something that we as students always vocalize and encourage for administrators to be transparent. I think in the day and age of today, we do ask for administration to continue to be present, but as well as when we do address and ask for administrators to be present, it is on our behalf to also show up. There's many occasions where we have brought administration out and students have not come and been in attendance to vocalize and speak upon issues that we have brought to the table. So I think it's a two swords where if we bring them out, we also have to be there as students to vocalize what it is that we want to see.
Okay, David and Adia.
Well, it's the administration's job, right? This is why we're at a university. And I think there are a whole ton of administrators that do work hard every day to make the student experience better. But are things great? Are things perfect all the time? No. So it's up to us as students and student leaders to advocate for what we really want. If it's meal swipes and shine or improving dining quality, it's up to us to bring those opinions to the table and talk through solutions to get that done.
Yeah, with that, I've found that for the same number of administrators that are passionate about topics just like we are, there are an equal number that aren't as involved. And I think that what would really encourage that number to go up would be just student engagement and participation in general. I mean, we have the most powers when we are the most collected, when we're unified, when we have power in numbers. So as long as we can take those opportunities to show them that we really do care as a student body, they should respond.
All right, we'll now turn to Brenton and Sky.
Yeah, well, like everything, like my peers think up here, I think awareness is a really big thing, and I think administration could always do a better job letting the students know what's going on behind these closed doors. We're obviously not allowed to look into everything, but it'd be nice to understand some of the decisions that they make, especially regarding snow days, you know? But I think with certain resources, however, I think the administration should focus on doing a better job, because these issues are no longer things that we could just sweep under the rug, right? These are things that we want to address. We want to make the students feel comfortable here, and we want everybody to know what's going on.
Yeah, to go along with Bretton's points, I do think that the administration here is doing their job to an extent. I think they can do a little bit better. I do know some administration aren't as involved as they maybe could be with their roles. And I think really getting those administration involved. As a student body, we can show them how passionate we are about our issues and what we want to see in the school. And once we make that connection with those advisors, that's how we get them involved, and that's how we make them do their job. Thank you.
Brett and Sky, thank you. We're going to move on to our next question now, and that is a question regarding campus climate. So over the past year, we've had cases, or we've had protests on campus, protesting things like sexual assault and what some allege is a rape culture on Syracuse University's campus. So David and Adele, I'll put this question to you first. Does Syracuse University need to put more penalties in place for fraternities and sororities that violate the Code of Student Conduct?
Penalties should be happening wherever these terrible things are happening. People should be held accountable no matter what. Doesn't matter the organization or whatever part of campus they're from, their background. It doesn't matter. If they do something wrong, if they do something illegal, they should see justice. But what's more, I think we have to look beyond this university. We have to recognize that this is an issue at colleges across the country. It's an epidemic in the country, for sure. And there are policies and regulations nationally with Title IX and state laws and local laws even that we need to advocate to change to make pursuing justice much easier for survivors, because right now it's not the case.
Brett and Sky?
Well, where I completely agree that things regarding sexual assault need to be completely persecuted to the highest extent available. For terms of here at Syracuse University, I think one of the biggest problems is the awareness of sexual misconduct and what does and what doesn't mean yes behind closed doors, because I think we need to do a better job educating freshmen coming in, especially those participating in Greek life, where that sort of behavior is appealing, that sort of party every day, I don't care about anything is appealing. I think we need to really do a better job educating the kids coming in here, what you can and can't do behind closed doors and what means yes and what means no.
Yeah, and as regards for should Greek life be punished for it, I don't think it's a question of Greek life. I think it's a question of the student, whether male or female. If you commit sexual assault in any form, no matter what that be, that is a punishment that you should be punished to the highest extent available to however harsh you did. And in 2020, there was a survey about 19% of Syracuse students, they admitted to having felt sexually assaulted, and only 5% of those students reported it. I think one thing we need to do is make those students more comfortable reporting the issue and going at the attackers.
Jordan, Lauren?
So beyond seeking justice and bringing awareness to the issues that arouse on campus around sexual assault, we also think that it's important for the university to be transparent, but also for us to find a way to make these conversations something that we have more dialogue around. I think there is a stigma or a notion that these conversations shouldn't take place, but I think we need to find a way to be comfortable in uncomfortable positions if we are advocates for change. One thing that we will speak on is the therapeutic avenues for victims. We think that there should be an increase in representation within the Barnes Center. I think that students feel more comfortable speaking to those that look like them. So as we get more comfortable in seeing staff that look like us, it will help for more transparency on our end and feeling comfortable having that dialogue.
Students look to representatives of the Student Association to communicate with those in power at the university. How would you vocalize student concerns? And Bretton and Sky, will start with you.
Well, for instance, the whole process in which me getting to this point, I went out and I talked to over 500 students. And in asking for the signature, I also, inquired what were the biggest problems facing, the community. And like, I got a collective amount of answers. However, I feel like it's that engagement with your student body that really allows you to understand the issues that are going on campus. Because although it's great to create a bill and everything, it's different to see it in action. So I believe just making sure you're more engaged with your students, as well as making easy access points, that having the voices be heard is definitely a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I think getting things done comes with us basically hounding the people that we need to use to get the things done. It comes with dedication. It comes with also having outside groups come in. I'm sure we're all involved in multiple clubs. Having all those students behind us. Breton and I have a lot of connections between sororities, fraternities, sports teams. We have all those people backing us, and those are the people we can use to get in contact and get things done because we have that large body of representation.
Hear me? Okay. I think before we even talk about communicating with administration, it's about communication with the student body, which I think definitely needs to be improved upon. I know as a sophomore, an incoming freshman through the pandemic, I didn't really even know what student association was. I think that there needs to be a bigger channel between the student body and student association.
Yeah, and in regards to ensuring that students' voices are heard, a big part of being candidates today was putting ourselves in spaces with organizations and hearing the concerns and issues that other students wanted to have addressed. And I think that shouldn't stop in regards to just becoming a candidate. That's something that you should do beyond just being on the stage today and getting to this place. Those can advocate for us being students that always place ourselves in positions to learn about the issues and matters at hand for other students.
Something interesting that we've been discussing in SA all year is how to increase student engagement. Last semester, we actually had 2 separate town halls. One was about general student concerns, and one was more focused towards bias incidents, and those were where we really seemed to kind of hit the ground running, because we make it a priority to meet and engage with as many students as possible, because like I said before, our opinions and our perspectives can't be the only one in a room when you're in a room with administrators. And I think that as long as you're open and transparent with all of the students, then something beautiful can really come of it. Also, what we've been trying to work on is student engagement with SA specifically, because we are a small organization, but we do really mean a lot. And I think that if we just keep pushing forward, trying to meet freshmen where they are, go to their orientations, go to their classes, really introduce yourself, make it a point to make people really believe that you care about them. I think that's the only way we can get things done on this campus, is trying to be as open and honest as possible and trying to put a genuine foot forward.
So thank you guys. Moving on here, talking about transparency, increasing transparency in the student association, the relationship between the organization and the student body. One thing that David and Nadia talked about is having more town halls over the course of the next term, if they're elected to the presidency and the vice presidency. But Jordan and Lauren, I'm going to start with you. Is more open forum events the way to go in terms of increasing transparency, or is there more to that?
I think there's definitely more to that. Town halls are great. Can I get a show of hands of people who have attended town halls on campus? Okay, great. No, yeah, it's definitely a lot of people. But I think that there's also a big community within this room that's not been represented, that's not here. I personally don't know anyone who has attended a town hall, and I think this is about making yourself approachable as a student, going up to people in public spaces, and starting those conversations, not just with organizations, but with individuals, people who don't necessarily even know that there are town halls on campus.
Right, and a big part is increasing participation in student engagement. So if we do look at what has occurred in the past and how do we increase engagement, we do have to find different ways outside of just town halls. That may not be the only way to communicate a message to all demographics of students that coexist within the university. So I don't think the town halls or even like emails may be always the best way. You gotta learn how to utilize some other media platforms to get certain conversations started amongst different demographics of students.
Well, this is a fantastic question, because transparency is what this past administration has all been about. Past campaigns have talked about doing town halls, except they don't do them. We did them for once. So that was an accomplishment. And thankfully, a lot of students showed up and provided great feedback. We've advanced transparency in a lot of other ways as well. For the first time, we're putting bills on our website, so students can write bills, read the bills that we're passing, and know what we're up to. And we're also putting out the Board of Trustees reports that we have delivered. So students know exactly what we're saying to the Board of Trustees to advocate for them. So advocacy and transparency is not limited to town halls. There's many more ways to engage students. The most fundamental way is just showing up. And Adia and I have been doing that our entire time as students.
So, not to discredit the the efficiency of town halls, I think it's a really great idea, but you got to see how personable is going to a town hall. Does the average student feel comfortable going to town hall to voice their opinion on a subject, or would it be easier for that individual to just come speak to the president of SA himself? Does the president of SA give off the vibe that he's a guy that you can come approach and come to with the problem, and he'll see to it that you could change it? I think our current president does a great job with that. However, I want to see more people getting involved, more people feeling comfortable having their opinions heard, and if they have a problem, they should bring it up to the SA as opposed to keeping it down until they might make next town hall's meeting.
Yeah, I think town halls do make it accessible. However, I think we can do it a lot more. I think we should have students sitting in Shine with an SA sign saying, hey, come up to me, tell me what you want done, and we'll talk about it. We'll have a conversation, see what we can do. We can have students in the quad going around, introducing themselves, shaking hands. I'm in student association. Do you know what student association is? Can I tell you what it is? How can you get involved? I think it's really about going around, informing people what a student association is, how we can make what they want happen, get done.
Candidates, thank you. We have to take a short break, but when we return, we'll have more from our presidential and vice presidential candidates tonight. Stay with us.
Fancy pants peanut butter? A big screen television? You haven't even bought a sofa yet. A motorcycle? When your father finds out, he's gonna flip his shoes with 2 buckles? What do you even need 2 buckles for? Mr. Big Shot, buying whiskey shots for everybody in the bar. From the looks of it, I'd say nobody even remembers. Feed the pig.
You've messed up your son's haircut.
Mom?
Do you A, try to fix it?
Like it never happened.
B, work with what you got? Or C, show solidarity?
Thank you, baby.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Your girls have been with you through every moment of your life. They were with you when you felt unbreakable. With you that time you felt most alone. And with you when you realized you would never be. They were with you when you shared your love with the world. And with you when she became your world. Your girls have never left you. They're still with you right now. But how well do you know them? You don't know mine. Knowing your breasts can save your life. You
Citrus TV presents the 2022 Student Association Executive Debate.
File in as we get ready for the second round of questioning here. Welcome back to the SA Executive Debate here on Citrus TV. In this section of the debate, we are going to discuss SU food services and the dining halls as well. So, Jordan, Lauren, we're going to start with you. And if you guys do feel free, if you feel free to rebut to a question, you can raise your hand and you will be allowed 30 seconds if you take issue with something another candidate says here on the stage. So the first question here, over the course of the pandemic, we saw the university add the option for students to have meal swipes to use at places like Shine and campus grocery stores to try and disperse some of the crowds in some of the dining halls. We've seen those go away now back to their normal state, but some students did complain as those were taken away over the course of the summer. So first question to you, Jordan and Lauren, should these swipes in Shine, in grocery stores, should they come back?
Yes, I actually think that these swipes should come back. One of the things that we have as initiative of ours is emergency swipes. We think aside from bringing back the swipes itself is also providing a certain number of swipes that will pertain to students that don't have meal packages. And we say that because not all students, we come from different financial backgrounds, and sometimes hardships do arise. But to know that you have emergency swipes where you can use into the different lunchrooms on campus will allow you to still have something to lean back on through financial hardships.
And in addition to that, creating a service in which we can transport leftover food from every dining hall and take them to places such as Hendricks Chapel for students who, again, don't have emergency meal swipes, don't have food or money, period, to be able to feed themselves, and as well as the Syracuse community.
David, Adele?
Yeah, this is an accessibility issue. So yes, they should be brought back. But you know, I have the advantage in some ways of having been doing this job for the past year. And you know, when this became an issue last summer, we sat down with the new director of hospitality and other students that were organizing around this issue. And you know, there's a systemic problem with this because students weren't involved in this decision. But now they can be, because the Student Association worked with food services to create a food services accountability committee. Beyond that, we've tried to implement ways to make food more accessible by creating a free grocery store trolley program, because we live in a food desert and students can't always get food in the dining hall, so they can now go to grocery stores that are off campus and try and get produce that way. This is an issue that has a lot of elements to it, and we have to explore solutions in a lot of different ways. So if we can get meal swipes back in Shine, if we can make the cost of the meal plan overall go down, if we can do some adjustments to the CUSE cash and dining dollars being split, all of these I think would be wins for students and make the dining experience that much better.
Yeah, I'm definitely happy this question came up, because this was a topic of concern that I utilized in my campaign for strategy, so I'm happy we're discussing it today. But yeah, meal swipes definitely should be reinstated back in Shine, as well as I think we should look into reopening closed food locations as well. Like they were saying, Shine was opened and was taking meal swipes because of COVID. I meant overcrowding the dining halls, but now as COVID seems to be alleviating, it seems as if like these crowds are going to start forming again. So I think the sooner we get meal swipes back in Shine, the sooner this system for food services runs smoothly, as well as all the excess food that's being left to waste after dining hall hours close. I feel like we should do a better job finding ways to utilize that and donate it to those that can't, you know, have a hot meal tonight, or to those that can't provide enough food for their family. I think we should also consider, if we have rollover meal swipes, we could, you know, like Jordan said, people come from different financial backgrounds. So if you qualify, maybe we could utilize some rollover meal swipes and then apply them to other students who are in need of them.
And excuse me, sorry.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing to have meal swipes back in Shine. I do love my core life, but I think it's also dining dollars should be accessible in more places. I think we should be able to use them in our grocery stores on campus. We should be able to use them in vending machines. Eating disorders are a huge problem on this campus, and if kids don't like the dining halls and they can't get food after 9 p.m., they're simply not going to eat. And I think it's something that's not talked about, but it should be.
Brett and Sky, thank you. My apologies again. A little follow-up question that I'm going to go to David and Nadia first on is, how would you achieve these ends in terms of getting these meal swipes back to students, as some have been clamoring for in places like Shine, in places like West Campus Express, places like South Campus, where these grocery stores that the university owns are? What is the kind of process that you're going to go through to be able to get these back?
So, you know, I've been in the role, so I've been advocating for this already. There are some logistical snags, but I think it's the right thing to do. And as students, even if there's some logistical barriers in the way, we still know what the right thing to do is. And so we're going to continue to advocate for it, even if there are some structural barriers in the way. And I hope the students really rally behind us in hopefully getting more public support to get that done.
Yeah, and something that's really important and not entirely unachievable would simply be using the leftover money at the end of the semester. I know that every time I refill my dining dollars, you know, you don't get it back the next semester, it just goes back into the university. If we could find a way to even donate those to different, you know, shelters or the food pantry, that would at least be a first start. So if nothing else, that should be the first priority.
Well, I guess if, with going back to the transparency question with the administration, if enough students are collectively agreeing, hey, we should bring this back, and the administration sees that and they don't really do everything in their power to give the students what they're asking for, I guess that speaks kind of greatly on behalf of the administration, right? So I think if we get enough people to rally behind this issue, and that goes for every issue here at Syracuse, that's where the power lies in the student body, not in the administration. So if we get enough people to rally behind an issue and we bring it to the administration, if the administration truly cared about its student body, why would they neglect something that makes our lives better and has no effect on them, really?
I think how we have enacted committees to talk about these problems is a great thing. We should instill those, keep those around, make them bigger, and I think having those committees right now is only doing so much. Those committees are great to have the discussion, to bring up the topic, but having actions happen is, I think, the next step. Talking about bringing them back is one thing, actually bringing them back is another. And I think we all need to rally together, and I think it comes down to just dedication to it. We've seen multiple discussions about it, but we haven't seen it happen.
Okay, David and Nadia have raised their hands. They will get a short rebuttal, 30-second rebuttal, and then we will follow up with Jordan and Lauren.
So, you know, I'd just like to say that through the advocacy of the Student Association and the students that have organized around improving dining quality, we have actually seen some progress. We haven't gotten the meal swipes back yet, but we have made changes to dining halls such as Shaw by bringing La Naranja and the to-go boxes in Ernie Davis.
Right, and from our standpoint, we also want to understand that while we see Syracuse as a learning institution, it also is a business, so learning the business aspect to it. Having conversations and dialogue with administrators on how things work in regards to bring back the meal swipes. One thing that we did see is having free laundry, but at the expense of the meal swipes. So we understand that there is a pull and take, and we got to understand how the business works of the administration. I think bringing also students to the table to have that dialogue will be essential when it comes to like HEOP, which is the Higher Education Opportunity Program, as well as the SSS students who receive a certain amount of funding each semester to cover food expenses. So I think having a dialogue with other students that understand the real importance of having these dining dollars and meal swipes.
All of you have mentioned tonight that this is a campus-wide issue in terms of accessibility and that there are some barriers that need to be broken between the administration and students to have some of your ideas carried through. Have any of you spoken to SU Food Services about this or anyone else in the administration, and what ideas are you planning to carry forward with this? Brenton and Sky, we'll start with you, and then we'll go to you guys.
Yeah, I've definitely sent an angry email in the past to whomever I feel like would be in charge of that decision, but not officially, no.
I am still pretty new to campus, so it's an issue that I have learned about this semester, and I didn't really think there was anything I could do about it until I recently heard about Student Association, like within the past few weeks, and I think using the power that they have is what we can do, because Student Association does hold power, but making it bigger is what we need to do. Making more kids come into Student Association, get involved, even if you don't have a position, just come on in and rally together. I think that's what's gonna happen, because coming into freshman year, I thought the rules were the rules, we can't change them. And really, until I met Breton, I still believe that till this semester. Now I'm starting to see that it is possible to change things, and having a position of power would make that a lot easier.
Jordan and Lauren?
So have we had dialogue with those within food services? No, but we have spoken to administration and staff within Hendricks Food Pantry. And I think a start to it is bringing more awareness to that. One of the issues that we do want to push is adding on the syllabus information in regards to the food pantries, like requiring that. So we all understand that on the syllabus there is a section where we have information that is required on all syllabus. And we would like to provide information in regards to the food pantries, also bringing more awareness to the food pantries in itself. I think that when we speak upon the success and the progression that Student Association has made, we also have to think of the student demographic that are in attendance for these town halls or that are aware of the food service resources, right? And then consider those that are not aware. And I think that a big point is getting that message across to students of color on campus. A lot of us are not familiar with the resources on campus that cover food expenses as well as Hendricks Food Pantry. So bringing awareness to that one, the one that's also located on South.
Yeah. Well, actually, the Hendricks Chapel Food Pantry and the one on South are really important, and we do need to do a better job at promoting those. This year, we've actually made an investment of $20,000 to support services and provide sustainable food for the pantry. But in terms of actually working with administration and food services, we have done that. I have done that. I have met with the new executive chef. We have worked with the director of hospitality. We got the Food Services Accountability Committee. We're working with the students there. We have a testimonial that we have sent out to the student body for students to share any concerns that they have, and we can direct those directly to the administration, because there have been cases where students have found a hair in their food or something pretty disturbing, and so we need to address those right away. And we're going to continue to do that.
You've all mentioned the problems and the solutions that you have for food across campus. I want you to all please explain to us what you believe is the most important problem regarding the dining halls. We'll start with Jordan and Lauren.
I think one of the biggest problems with food in the dining halls is the waste. I've witnessed it myself, as well as people who actually work there, and there's so much food that goes to waste every single day in every single dining hall. And I think that, you know, what we've said earlier about bringing that food to Hendricks Chapel and other food pantries, not just on Syracuse University's campus, but also to Syracuse in general, is a great way to put that food to use. Instead of wasting it, it's also a great way to eliminate that problem in terms of meal swipes. If you don't have enough meal swipes, you can go to a food pantry and you can get whatever you need.
Yeah, and I think a big part is also seeing this issue outside of just Syracuse University and meeting the needs of students, but also the city of Syracuse, right? So some of the things that we want to do in regards to building a system that allows us to transport the food that usually turn into waste is finding ways to open up the cafeterias in the summertime to the residents of Syracuse, you know? I mean, that's normalized within the city. So if in a way that we can make that work within Syracuse University, we'll also just find a ways to also not just feed the students that are here, but also those that's a part of the community in which we are a part of as well.
So I think that the biggest issue with the dining halls in general is an accessibility issue. I think that the price of meal swipes is just too high. There's no reason why you should be swiping into, you know, Ernie for $15, grabbing an apple and running to class. Like, it's just absurd. It makes it impossible for anyone here to afford food. And then with that, there's the problem of dining dollars versus Q's cash. There's no reason why they should split the two up. You're not telling me that, you know, we can put money into this one part and you can only use it for, you know, toilet paper, paper towels over here, but then you have this other portion of your money that you don't get back, but you do have it during the semester and you can use it in Shine. Those two things just don't make sense to me. So as long as we lower the cost in general, I see that as a concrete first step.
I'll just quickly add that the quality, meaning the options that are available and the actual, like, edible quality of the food, there should be more options for vegans, vegetarians, religious options. So we gotta keep advancing that for sure.
All right, Breton and Sky.
Yeah, actually, I would want to go of your point. I think the biggest thing is options. My friends that go to other schools, I know we do have a lot better options than they do, but I also know girls here, maybe there's guys too, who simply go and eat a grilled cheese every day because it's the only thing they can, or maybe it's the only thing they like. And then when they're not feeling a grilled cheese, they simply don't have dinner that night. And I just think having something like the food services sending out a survey where we can say what are meals we want. If you can't eat gluten, what do you want them to provide you? If you can't eat dairy, what are some options you want? Because oftentimes, my vegan friends, there's one option, maybe two, and if they don't like it, what else are they gonna eat? They're not gonna force feed themselves something that's gross. Never mind the fact they just paid $22 for it? Like, that's not fair to them, I think.
And just to add to that, I think the way in which we dispose of our extra food could be reevaluated. I know some days certain items definitely can't be donated, but let's say, you have a tray of like baked potatoes. I know that could kind of last a while, so I think we should do a better job at trying to find more efficient ways at utilizing our excess food.
All right, thank you all. Let's take a brief break. When we return, we'll talk about mental health on campus. Stay with us.
They took over my bedroom. Come on, come on. Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. Dad! You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
Citrus TV presents the 2022 Student Association Executive Debate.
Welcome back to the SA Executive Debate. In this section, we're talking about mental health on campus and the allocation of resources.
So the first question to Jordan and Lauren is, how would you change Syracuse University's mental health resources?
Yeah, I think the first, knowing that we just came from a transition from the pandemic into an in-person setting, I think the first is making us feel more comfortable as a student body to have conversations around mental health. Many of us come from households where that's not necessarily the normative. So just conversations around being mentally fit, also having dialogue with administration as well as our professors in regards to being a little more lenient in regards to conditions that students may have when it comes to their mental health.
Yeah, I think something else that we can do is also readjusting mental health days during the academic school year. falling on a Tuesday or a Wednesday isn't necessarily beneficial to students if professors are still providing homework, tests, etc. throughout the rest of the week. So actually making a mental health day where a student can feel as though that day is for them and whatever they need to do in order to achieve, their mental health.
Asking this question, it's really important. Something that we've actually already started doing in SA is working closely with administration to formally establish mental health days, and they've actually been really receptive. At first they weren't, but they've really turned around recently this semester, and they actually offered us an alternative. We're still working through options, but they provided that if we decided to have extra 5 minutes at the end of Monday, Wednesday classes, that could actually substitute 1 or 2 entire mental health days during the semester. That's already a great start. We definitely need to see that happen. And then also in SA this semester, we just passed a bill, providing free Headspace memberships for all students. So everyone definitely, utilize that if you can, if you want to. And something really important that the Barnes Center for a couple of years has needed to do is just diversify their staff. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to find a counselor that identifies with you or that can resemble, your life and your experiences. And it's ridiculous that you have to wait on the phone for 20 minutes to not be connected or not make an appointment when you're actually having a mental health crisis. Those resources should just be there for when you need them immediately.
You had a great point. The Barnes Center does provide numerous resources. I think we can also provide more. I think the issue is students going out of their way to use those resources. They're definitely made available, but are students comfortable using them when they're having a mental health crisis? Is the majority of the student population, is their first thought, let me call the Barnes Center? How can we make that their first thought is, I think, the issue that needs to be tackled. Also, one thing that we do plan to do if we get elected is do a mental health/suicide prevention week, have different events. I know the school does do a form of that now, but we want to end the week with a walk out of darkness. For those of you who don't know, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention provides walks out of darkness in numerous cities. There is one in Syracuse, but we want to bring one to campus and have that foundation, partner with the school. These walks are great for students. They get students involved, and all the money that is raised during these walks is donated, can go back into the school's mental health awareness programs and anything else that we can do to help.
David and Adia, your response?
Well, I just wanted to add that for actually 6 years now, the Student Association has run Mental Health Awareness Week, and we've expanded the week to include more collaborations with university resources and off-campus resources as well. And it's actually on our platform to really make Mental Health Awareness Week an even bigger staple for this 7th year that we're going to be going into.
Earlier, some of you mentioned the Barnes Center for mental health resources. Do you believe that SU, the Barnes Center, and higher administration can solve mental health on campus on its own? David and Adia, we're going to start with you for this question.
I mean, that's a great question, but I don't think there's ever like a solution to mental health. I think that's a terrible way to approach it, if I'm being honest. I think mental health is something that throughout your life you're going to have to constantly remind yourself of. You're going to have to take care of yourself, and it's okay to stop and actually do that, take care of yourself. I think that the administration is crucial in allowing us to, to diversify the body of counselors that we have here. But are they going to be able to entirely solve the issue of mental health? No, and that's a terrible way to approach it. So what we should do instead is going about individual initiatives, seeing where they can fund, seeing where they can provide access and resources, and utilizing those.
I'll just add that mental health is a part of health just like anything else. Physical health as well, right? They're all tied together. And so just as you need to feed yourself and, take time to take breaks, you have to care for your mental health all the time.
All right, Brenton and Sky?
Yeah, I think mental health is something that affects everyone, and I think a lot of us are kind of afraid to talk about that. There's certainly definitely people that are very open to discuss it, and others who maybe not. I think that to solve mental health is, as mentioned before, kind of impossible. I don't think it could ever happen, but I think providing the resources, the people to be there. One of the best things that helped me last semester is I had a professor who would do monthly check-ins. I think if we can get administration, people who are higher up. She was the head of the physics department, and she would email me saying, hey, come to my office. And someone that's that high up reaching out to me when I was brand new to the school, she asked me, was I sleeping? Was I eating? How was I mentally doing? That is what got me through my first semester. I literally called my mom. I was like, she is my on-campus mom. I love this woman. I think having people like that reach out and provide a kind of like a check-in, because some people don't want to step into the Barn Center or take that step to say, hey, I'm struggling. But if you ask them, if you have someone who they feel comfortable with, come to them and be like, are you doing this? Are you taking care of yourself? How are you feeling? That's how we're going to get to those people who don't feel comfortable talking about mental health.
David and Adia, your response?
Yeah, so on our platform, much like Jordan and Lawrence on this issue, we actually talked about diversifying the body of counselors, and that's specifically because of the actual racial fatigue that you genuinely feel when you attend a PWI. You know, things happen, and being this small of a minority on campus, it really does, you know, drown you out really early in the semester. So I'm just wondering for you guys, like, how would you go about addressing racial fatigue, and how do you see yourself diversifying mental health resources?
I think if we can work with the administration to get people into whatever mental resource we are working with at the time, have them bring in people of all different groups, people who can identify with all types of students. I think it's going to take a lot of planning, and I think having a big student body who can help us with that would be great.
Jordan and Lauren?
And for us, we think that first we need to start with changing the diction that we use around the conversation around mental health. Like, solving it makes it seem as if mental health is a problem. I don't think that there's a solution to mental health. Mental health and mental fitness is something that's an ongoing process, and it should be normalized, you know. I think also having activities, events, concerts where we bring in different artists or those that we look to that have a platform of notoriety to speak upon their mental fitness, you know. So finding ways to evoke dialogue outside of just having forums, or, you know, and how do we remove that stigma from having conversations around mental health.
Thank you. That ends our segment of the debate with our candidates for president and vice president. When we come back, our presidential candidates will stay on the stage for our lightning round. Stay with us.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Here we go. We're gonna go out there in the rain. You're gonna get wet. All right, here we go. Okay, quick. Oh yeah, yes. So much fun. Mwah. Yeah, we're getting so wet.
Citrus TV presents the 2022 Student Association Executive Debate.
Now going to start our lightning round of questions.
Candidates, welcome to the lightning round. In this part of the debate, candidates will have 30 seconds to answer each question. There will be no time for rebuttals, and I want to mention here that these questions are student-generated from a Google form that went in a campus-wide email for students to ask questions for this debate. So to begin, one student asked, quote, "What are you going to do to strive or to strive to help see better representation and equity for students of the LGBTQIA+ community?" Jordan, we'll start with you.
Yes, I think that's a great question. One of the first things I think is finding ways to be a part of the activities and events with the LGBTQ community and the organizations that serve that community of students that coexist within the university, and finding what it is that their concerns and issues that they want to be addressed. I think it's always a learning process, especially today. So as long as you continue to insert yourself in spaces and organizations to learn, I think that's one of the biggest ways to start.
Well, I'd love to bring in more people from the LGBTQIA+ community into the Student Association and into student leadership positions. We've been lucky to have a new director of LGBTQ+ student affairs, which is the very first time that we've ever done that in the Student Association. And that director has been a great asset to our team. And so I'd like to do more outreach with the LGBTQ Resource Center to bring more people in.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the LGBTQ+I definitely needs more representation here at Syracuse University. I think, like my peers have said, we need to get them more involved with the Student Association. This way their voices can be heard. However, I think maybe we could start hosting collaborative events in which we partner with these organizations and maybe host like a little decorating event or something regarding a concert, some sort of event to get people in and really spread out the name, you know?
So on to our next question here. One student asked, quote, "There are many great initiatives that this past session have championed on behalf of the student body. Is there a certain initiative that you would like to focus on to further in the upcoming session?" David, we'll start with you.
Ooh. Do I got to pick one? No? All right, I'll pick a few. I think I'll pick three. The wellness days are huge. So if we can bring those back and in a sustainable way, that's fantastic. In terms of environmental sustainability, having this university advance the goal for carbon neutrality from 2040 is huge, and that would leave a major legacy behind. And I think the grocery store trolley program, let's expand it.
Well, something that I guess I could speak on behalf of the students here. We really do appreciate those wellness days. I think those are awesome. So we'll definitely look into, fitting those into the schedule permanently. However, I think a more pressing matter like carbon neutrality is really great by 2040. However, I want to start making changes happen yesterday. I want these changes to be seen by the student body tomorrow. I think it'd be amazing that we'd be more environmental friendly by 2040. However, let's take proactive steps now to cleaning up the South Campus housing, to cleaning up on-campus housing, more efficient ways to collect garbage along those lines. Thank you.
Right, and then for me, one of the three biggest ones that we want to highlight is one addressing food insecurity, because we think that issue is not something that only we face as undergraduates, but those within the city of Syracuse. We want to say the recognition of historically marginalized students, creating a Black or multicultural welcome week where we allow students that first year students that come in to see the administration and organization that exists within the institution that serve our needs. And then I think most importantly is to start establishing long-term relationship with Syracuse residents. One thing that we have on our ballot and our initiative is to create a center of justice that will allow those that was formerly incarcerated to attend Syracuse University and earn an associate's degree.
One of the constitutional duties of the executive branch is to represent the student body as a whole in many different capacities. How do you intend to balance those duties with your other duties as a student and within other organizations that you're a part of? Brenton, we'll start with you.
Well, I'm very passionate and loyal to things that I find myself caring about. So the executive board is something I care about. My grades, something I care about. My life, something I care about. The lives of the students here is something I care about. So if I care about it, there will be time for me to make sure that it all works out.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I recently watched a video with Denzel Washington giving a speech to a college, and one thing he stated was, just because we're doing a lot don't mean we're getting a lot done. And never confuse movement with progression. So I think it's important for us to understand that we are willing, Lauren and I, to take a take a step away from the organization that we are a part of to fulfill our role within this organization, because we want to achieve some form of progression.
When I was running last year, I made the commitment that I would drop all the other organizations that I was involved in, and I'm willing to do the same again. You know, when you're president, you have to serve on the board of trustees, alumni association, search committees if they happen, tons of other committees. So, you know, it's all a part of the job. It's all inclusive, and you make the time. And thankfully, I think I've had a pretty good balance this year, and hope to maintain it.
So another question to all of you. How would you handle a breakdown in the relationship between presidential and vice presidential candidates?
Yeah, so the candidate who I'm running with, who is Lauren Glosser, she also is a sister of mine. So I think it starts with first having a genuine relationship with that individual that's running with you. If there is a breakdown, I think if you have already established a form of communication, that would make it easier to go about handling any issues that may arise between the two parties.
Well, I think it's about honest and open communication and accountability. I think Adele and I have a pretty good relationship already, and hope to build on that. So I don't expect any problems, but if they arise, you know, I make a mistake or whatever, I think we got to talk through it and find a resolution, and that's what being a partner is all about.
I think it's also about the accountability you can expect for your partner to hold against you. If you're having a partner that's just going to yes you to death and just tell you everything you want to hear, that nothing's going to be productive, nothing will actually change for the better, as well as finding somebody that's passionate about the same issues as you are. My path to where I am today was a little unorthodox. However, I found Sky someone who's just as passionate about student life and making the lives of their fellow peers better, that I can't imagine it not working. It's incredible that I found her in the first place. So it's about the accountability and your passion, I think, definitely makes the machine work.
Candidates, thank you. Let's take a brief break. When we come back, we'll have the end of our lightning round and closing statements from our candidates. Stay with us. You're watching the Essay Executive Debate on Citrus TV.
We can use some of the lightning round questions that we took out for the student questions. Okay. Yeah, Lindsay. Yes. I'm gonna call you. I don't have Spencer's number.
How much we have to do?
Dad?
Just 1 minute, okay?
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Can birds draw pictures?
I don't have an answer for that.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
Citrus TV presents the 2022 Student Association Executive Debate.
settling in
Pause.
for this next part of the debate.
Go.
Welcome back to the Student Association Executive Debate with Citrus TV and the Student Association. We are currently going to begin our second round of the lightning round questions. So to begin, we're going to start with the question, what work have you done already for the Student Association or the student body? And Jordan, we're going to start with you.
Right. Within Student Association, I have served as a student assembly representative, where I've been a part of various committees like the Community Service Committee. Previously, we have done a week of community service. Also, just being a part of a fraternity as well as finding different community initiatives to give back to the community that's around us. We have various events that's coming up that we have done to work with the inner city youth, finding ways to encourage them, help them to understand that it's an attainable goal to attend Syracuse University, but also to amount to more than a statistic while you're here.
So I've been in the Student Association since basically I stepped on campus. I was elected in September of 2019 to the Assembly, and I've never missed a meeting. I always show up. And, you know, as president, I've done a whole host of things that you can read online on our website, www.davidadia.com. And, you know, I've been the Board of Elections chair, I've been the speaker, I've changed the way that our organization works through a new constitution. I've done a lot to make this organization work better for students.
So my accomplishments in terms of aid to the university can't be seen on paper. However, I have no problem helping out a fellow classmate or helping out a new freshman that needs a way to get around. Countless times I'm in class making sure everybody feels comfortable. But my involvement with Student Association is because I want to take that to the next level. I want to make everybody's lives better. I want to be the reason everybody loves coming to Syracuse. So thank you.
Next question here, and candidates, you will have 1 minute and 15 seconds to answer this question. A student writes, quote, "I have been seemingly completely unimpacted by SA so far in my time at Syracuse. What will you do that will actually impact my life? Why should I care?" End quote. David, to you.
Well, first, you know, we got to say what SA does. Students may not know, you know, we have a multi-million-dollar budget that funds RSOs. If you've been to Bandersnatch or Juice Jam, the work is done by University Union, but the funding comes from the Student Association. If you've ever taken a Thanksgiving bus back home on the East Coast, that's by the Student Association. The grocery store trolleys, that's us. The heat lamps at the bus stops, that's us. So I expect the student who asked this question has been impacted. They just don't recognize it. So we got to do a better job at that. And we also got to do more to help students, and we will.
Well, there exactly lies in the problem is the student obviously didn't know that the Student Association had any role to play in a part of that. And I think that's, like you said, David, I think that's one of the most integral issues is making sure students know that, hey, like the Student Association, we have your back, we're watching out for you. So as soon as we could get everybody on the same page with those events and everything, I think that's when we start to make true strides in the right direction.
Right, and then for me, I think it starts with first education. A lot of students here present today are only here because of some of the candidates that's on the ballot. And I think it starts with first educating people on what Student Association is so that they know what do we serve. Another thing is that we consider ourselves consensus builders. Just because we may be elected as the vice president or president of Student Association does not mean we're the voice of every community that coexists within the institution. So finding ways to create space for those students to also come and vocalize what it is that they want to see.
This next question also comes from a student about the entirety of the direction of the Student Association. The student asks, quote, "What is your current view of the direction SA is going in its mission of basically advocating for the rights, needs, and desires of the student body?" Brenton, we'll start with you.
Well, I think obviously we're making strides in the right direction. However, we could always do a better job, right? So I'm up here, I'm appealing to you guys. I'm trying to make your lives better. I'm trying to bring meal swipes to shine. I'm trying to implement new class ideas, new class strategies. There's always room for improvement, and I think ultimately that's why the Student Association is always also improving, because there's always new ways to make our lives better.
Right, I will agree that one of the things we do need to work on is diversity, and there's always a room for improvement. One of the things I want to speak on is the retention rate in regards to ensuring that those that join SA come back for the next year. I think that's a big problem that we have faced, is finding ways to keep people consistent and being in attendance in the room. but I think it also takes a form of diversity in regards to restructuring the culture of SA. I think a lot of people don't feel welcome in that space. So how do we change that? How do we make people feel comfortable to come to SA meetings? How do we rephrase and reshape politics of the institution to something that's interesting? That you don't only speak about policies, having events where we just have engaging conversations. So how do we change all that, and what will make other students feel comfortable coming into the room?
So make no mistake, just because I am the president and have been in this organization, that does not mean I am the manifestation of a status quo. I agree with both of these competitors that there's a lot of work that needs to be done. But no one understands the organization better than me. I've helped rewrite the Constitution and the bylaws. We've restructured things to where last year people didn't want to be in our office. We had Zoom meetings, and now it's a better space where people feel comfortable to go. And it's open to all students, and students have even come that aren't in the Student Association and have enjoyed their time. So we do need to make it more diverse. We need to make it more inclusive, more accessible. But we've been continuing that work already this year, and we have a lot more substance, I feel, to keep enacting that.
Another student question. In the recent constitutional overhaul of the Student Association, the cabinet and the assembly were completely separated. How will you abide by this new sovereignty of the legislative branch while also working to achieve the objectives on your platform? Jordan, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I think it takes a form of unity amongst all those that's within the body of SA. Wait, do you mind restating your question if you don't mind?
How will you abide by the new sovereignty of the constitutional overhaul of the legislative branch while also working to achieve the objectives on your platform?
Right, yeah, so I think that there has been work that we can acknowledge that has led to progression that SA has done, but we do want to create a form of unity amongst all students that coexist within the university, as we continuously restate. And then in regards to our initiatives, one of the things that we have done is ensuring that the initiatives are some that are long-term and short-term, anything that's on our ballot and that we have posted are initiatives that we think can be achieved within the time that we are here as undergraduates.
Asker points out, there is now a separation, a more clear separation between the Assembly and the Cabinet. That was not the case before. Cabinet members oversaw Assembly members and committees. So now that we have this separation, the executive branch has a more clear role to execute the initiatives that are being created, whereas the Assembly can create their own and fund projects and create policy of the Student Association. I've been, working and tweaking things with other Student Association members to make this process more efficient. And yeah, we have seen a lot of progress.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it also boils back down to is everybody being transparent with each other as well as holding each other accountable. I know I utilized that point before in discussing my running mate, but I feel like that's kind of an important role when it comes to teamwork in general, especially when you have two separate entities now, because you have to make sure that one's doing their responsibilities as well as maintaining the ones you're currently working on. And I think it's just a lot of good communication, holding people accountable, and keeping transparent between the branches.
This is our final question of the night before we break and go into closing statements. Do you believe that Syracuse University effectively communicates with students? And what's your reasoning behind your answer? David, we'll start with you for this question.
In every case, always, of course not. But look, I think I always try and look at the systemic issue. And I think there's a lack of communication throughout the process, not just as decisions are made and understanding those decisions, but how did we get there? So students should be more involved in that. That, I think, would go leaps and bounds to improve this communication problem that I think all of us recognize. If students are in the room, I think we might see a slight change in decisions, and then if they're student informed, it might be a little more likely that we're willing to accept them.
Well, I definitely believe the school needs to do a much better job in its ability to communicate with students. I know, for one, some people will arrive to class and then look at their phone and say, oh, class was actually canceled today, and by the time you're already there, it's too late to go back. So now you're stuck on campus for another extra hour. I believe that the administration can do a better job making things more student-friendly. For instance, I know my slice just got re-upped so it looks more student friendly and it's easier to navigate. And I think like those kind of changes are really steps in the right direction in making communication easier between teachers and students, as well as I think we need to do more with office hours. I think students are still kind of confused on how they can access like Orange Success and other tools through MySlice. So I think we need to do a better job educating them, as well as providing an easier form of communication to the administration.
I think that as an institution, we can do much better. Definitely as an institution that consider ourselves to be the top within the communications. I think you brought up a question earlier about transparency, and it came to my mind that the institution actually is not as transparent when it comes to the structural adjustments that have been made. By that, I mean the removal of like the FAFSA office out of Sean. I would say putting the HEOP office in SSS, the offices that serve the financially disadvantaged students within the institution in the basement on Waverly Avenue. Things like that, I think that we should have a construction team of students that play a role in deciding what offices are where. I think that is strategic and that's a systemic issue. So they are not transparent on many ends and we need to work on that. Also, they built a wall inside of Krause-Hines where we occupied during Nottingham SU. If you ever went back into that building, you see that there's a wall there. So you couldn't occupy that space to the same extent that we did in the past. So I think structurally, it's not very transparent as an institution, and it takes people at the table to bring up certain things and make it aware.
Candidates, thank you. When we come back, we will have our closing statements. Stay with us. We're back in 1 minute.
Baby, you see, you're so right for me, and I am right for you. I love the things you do, like sweet tasting wine. Your lips are so divine. Your loving turns me on. My lonely days are gone. That's why I'm never gonna let you go. Never gonna let you go. Babe, I'm never gonna let you go. No, no, never gonna let you go. Baby, never gonna let you go. Never gonna let you go.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Citrus TV presents the 2022 Student Association Executive Debate.
Stinger.
Welcome back to the SA Executive Debate. We will now have closing statements from each of our candidates. Jordan and Lauren, you can go first.
Okay. Again, Lauren and I want to first thank you all for being in attendance tonight. As voting is quickly approaching, it starts April 4th. We encourage you all to come out and vote. We understand that this will be the first time that a demographic of students that don't often vote will be more aware of the elections and how things run. One thing we want to make an emphasis on is that we're running for more than just making changes to the social and political climate on campus. One of the biggest reasons to why we're up here today is to show the youth and the communities where we come from that it's possible to not only attend Syracuse University, but to also to amount to more than a statistic. Growing up, a lot of educators always made it seem as if attending university as such was something that we couldn't do. And if we did attend, we only be a statistic. So by being up here today, we are defining a lot of stereotypes placed upon our community, and we want to continue to make strides to encouraging the youth back at home, but also within the city of Syracuse.
So, in essence, what makes David and I the perfect team is that we really truly care for every member of the SU community. Over the last year, David has done every single thing in his power to passionately advocate for students, and we've seen some amazing changes come out of it. Whether it be expanding the test optional admissions policy or co-planning important History Month events, David has really demonstrated his ability to do his job and do it exceedingly well. And for that reason, I think solely he should, be reelected. As for myself, this past year has granted me invaluable knowledge as to the ins and outs of student government, and it has shown me what authentic collaboration really is. I wholeheartedly believe not only in our joint ability to equitably address student concerns, but I also believe that we can and will affect real change that will last well beyond our time here. We are committing ourselves to you, each and every one of you, the greater Syracuse community, and to every student who's out there still trying to find their way to the Orange family.
After everything you've seen, I hope you'll all agree that Adia and I are ready, willing, and able to slide right into these positions, put together an amazing team, and continue fighting for progress on behalf of all students. We hope you'll recognize that being Student Association President and Vice President is more than just the facade of campaign promises and one-liners. It's hard work, day in and day out, listening to students, meeting with administrators, writing bills, dealing with interpersonal conflict, and showing up where it really matters. And honestly, Adele and I would be happily do this necessary work without the titles and the platform, especially because we started doing this kind of work even before we were in the Student Association. But we want you to know that we will be transparent with our work. We will always prioritize and empower other student voices, and we will not waste this opportunity and platform that we will have. Tonight, Adele and I hope that you've learned more about the progress we've made. Thank you.
As for us, we are kind of outsiders to Student Association, and I think that is a key aspect of our campaign. I think it will help us because we can revamp Student Association. We want to make Student Association more welcoming. Do students feel comfortable to come to things like this? As for us, do we feel comfortable standing up here and hopping right in? We want to make Student Association well-known, make students want to join it, make students feel welcome to come, want to come, know what it is, know how they can join, everything along those lines.
Yeah, just to reiterate what she said, although we are outsiders coming in, when's the last time you were told to think inside the box, right? So I think overall, if you vote for us, you're voting for a better tomorrow, a better future, and a better time here at Syracuse University. Thank you guys so much for coming. And just, if there's one thing you remember at the end of the night tonight is if you want the real deal, vote McNeil. Thank you.
All right, thank you all. Before we say our goodbyes tonight, the Board of Elections Chair Richard Kaufman is joining us once again on stage. Richard?
Thank you to all the candidates, our moderators Chilekasi and Moriah, to our timekeeper William, to Rob and Kimberly from the NVRC, to Otto and Taylor, and to all of you for being an excellent audience this evening. Voting in this year's election begins this Monday, April 4th at 12 midnight, and will run all the way until Friday, April 8th at 11:59 p.m. If you'd like to join us, we will be announcing the results on the quad on Saturday at noon. After a few closing words from our moderators, if you would join myself and the candidates in the atrium for some refreshments and some conversations, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you all again, and good night.
And that is all the time we have tonight for the Student Association Executive Debate here on Citrus TV. Thank you to Board of Elections Chair Richard Kaufman for his assistance with tonight's production.
And thank you to Syracuse University for hosting us tonight at the National Veterans Resource Center. Now it's up to all of you, the students, to choose who will lead the university for the next year and be your voice on campus.
Voting will begin on My Slice this Monday, April 4th, and conclude Friday, April the 8th. You will be able to vote for the president and vice president ticket that represents your values and opinions.
This is an important moment for our democracy on campus. And with that being said, I'm Moriah Humiston.
And I'm Chilekasi Adele. Don't forget, you can follow us on Twitter at CitrusTV News. Go to our website, citrustv.com. We will have coverage all throughout this election week, heading into the results from first to last. We will have it for you. So, with that being said, she's Moriah Humiston. I'm Chilekasi Adele. From all of us here at Citrus TV. Good night.